Okay, so we're on page 9 and we're looking at practice questions. All right, so it says these questions should help you get to grips with the past few pages. So remember all the answers that are in questions 1 to 8 and the in-depth questions, the quick questions and the in-depth questions, they're all in pages 1 to 8. You don't need to look anywhere else for them. If you need to use if you remember, we've got the comic strip at the back of the book. That might help you if you need to reference or to remember and recap any of the story. But these are literally just in the first pages 1 to 8. All right, so the quick questions. So when you've got a list of a quick question, of a multiple choice here, you don't need to write a sentence. It might be that on the question paper you've just got a tick box, or it asks you to circle them, so you need to read that question carefully of what the action is that you've got to do. But don't waste a huge amount of time on these quick questions in your exams. They should be done fairly quickly, but properly in complete sentences to allow you to use your time effectively on the more in-depth questions. All right. So it says, in which of these periods is Blood Brothers mostly set? So the choices are A, 1930s to 1950s, B, 1960s to 1980s, or C, 1970s to 1990s. So look back between pages 1 to 8 and find out which one of these is the answer, and you can circle it. Okay. Number 2 says, explain in one sentence what is meant by the term youth culture. Okay, so what I've done here is I'm trying to explain to you about how to write a complete sentence. So it says explain. So explain means, as imagine you're talking to somebody who's not done the course and putting it in your own words. But you remember, you've only got one sentence to write it in. You have to follow the instruction. Okay, when you're writing your sentence, remember you have to repeat the question in your answer to make it a complete sentence and to make it make sense. So it says, explain in one sentence what is meant by the term youth culture. So you're going to start off your sentence with a capital letter. The term youth culture is, and you're going to find an explanation between pages 1 to 8, and you can either find a quote from the book or write it in your own words. But remember, it's only one sentence. Number 3 says, when Blood Brothers was written, what was the structure of most families in Britain? Now the word structure means how something is built. So how were most families built basically in Britain? So you're going to start off with when Blood Brothers was written. So you need to write that. When Blood Brothers was written, stop there. The structure of most families in Britain was, and you're going to tell me what was the most likely type of family in Britain when this play was written. 4A. It says, why were Britain's traditional industries in decline in the 1970s? So it's a why question. So when you have a why question, there is always a because. And again, you're going to repeat your question in your answer. So Britain's traditional industries were, so you've used this word here and brought it forward. Britain's traditional industries were in decline in the 1970s because, and you're going to tell me the reason why. Okay, use the information between pages 1 to 8. And B says, which Prime Minister decided that these industries weren't economically viable? So economically viable means that they're not going to make a profit. Okay, so which Prime Minister suggests that you need a name? So you're going to start off with the sentence, the Prime Minister who decided that these industries weren't economically viable was, and you need to find out the name of the Prime Minister. Number 5 says, what does going on the dole mean? Okay, so So really all you're doing is repeating the question in your answer again. You're going to start off with, remember your inverted commas, going on the dole means, and then you're going to tell me what that means from pages 1 to 8. Number 6 says, after losing their jobs, what did some men turn to support their families? So there's a couple of ways that you can write this sentence to make it make sense. You can start off with, after losing their jobs, some men turned to, and then tell me what it was, to support their families. Or if you wanted to, you could change it around. To support their families after losing their jobs, some men turned to, and then tell me what it is. Okay, so both of those answers would be correct. When you have to remember that somebody else is reading this, okay, and if they can't understand what you're trying to say, it's not a complete sentence. Number 7 says, give 3 of the common problems with council houses in Liverpool in the 1960s. Okay, so when you give, it's literally just information. You don't need to explain anything. You don't need to put a because in there. You're literally listing something, okay? And it's asking you to list 3, okay? So you're going to start off with your answer. 3 of the common problems with council houses in Liverpool in the 1960s were. Remember, it's were because it's more than one. And you're going to list 3. Now remember, when you list something in a sentence, you need to do the first answer with a comma, the second answer with an and before your third answer and your full stop. Okay. Number 8 says, what is a new town? And you're literally just explaining what a new town is. So a new town is, and you're going to tell me what a new town is in your own words. Okay.